A little over 3 years ago, developer Gamera Interactive and publisher All In Games announced Alaloth Champions of the Four Kingdoms, an isometric action role-playing game for PC via Steam and Xbox One. It was being developed with the help of legendary RPG designer and writer Chris Avellone, who is best known for his work on titles such as Planescape Torment, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, Fallout 2, and Fallout New Vegas. The game was originally scheduled for a 2018 release, but was eventually delayed and fell into relative obscurity until last year when they released a story trailer, and just 3 weeks ago released an official gameplay video that showcased character creation, RPG mechanics, and of course gameplay. In this Alaloth Champions of the Four Kingdoms preview, we want to tell you a bit about what we learned as well as some of our impressions of the game. Alaloth is a dark god who turned on his pantheon and came to the mortal realms, and there he lies imprisoned in the Valley of Storms where the four great kingdoms of humans, orcs, elves, and dwarves intersect. From the valley's heart he spreads evil throughout the kingdoms, determined to extinguish any light of hope for all who call this world home. The world of Alaloth is comprised of 4 vast territories. To the northwest lies the Goldwood Forest and the Republic of Larister, with elves keeping the secrets of the gods safe. To the northeast are the mountains named the Fangs of Kemot, home to the dwarves that inhabit the Great Rocky Territory, Karak-Han. To the southwest you will discover the wastelands, the desolation of Baga, where orcs rule. And in the southeast, humans brought civilization to a golden age with a huge bay area of cities, merchants, and prosperous growth, the blessed kingdom of Edharest. It will fall to a few champions and their allies to find a way to bring peace to the kingdom and to end Alaloth's reign once and for all. Described as the very first isometric Souls-like game, the gameplay mechanics of Alaloth are a mix of CRPG, ARPG, and Souls-like. Imagine a CRPG where you have more control over your character, but not going as far as typical ARPGs such as Diablo and Path of Exile, where player characters are usually overpowered to the point where mowing down waves of enemies is just another day for them. This is where the Souls-like mechanics come in, and we'll get into that in just a minute. The character creation alone is full of options that will let you create a personalized character of your choosing. Race, racial skills, fighting style, legacy, alignment, deity, and character. There are 4 races that represent the 4 kingdoms found in the game: the human kingdom of Edharest, the elven republic of Larister, the dwarven kingdom of Karak-Han, and the desolation of Baga, which is the orcish domain. After choosing a race, each race will influence the available racial skills you can choose and unlock later in the game. There are 3 fighting styles to choose from: dual wielding, sword and shield, and heavy weapons. The style you choose is one of the more important choices you need to make, as melee combat is one of the pillars of the gameplay. Legacy is more or less the backstory of your character. You can choose one of 40 available houses in the game, and it will also influence the dialogue options available to you, as well as available allies in your playthrough. Now this is something you don't see in any kind of RPG as of late. The ability to choose an alignment for your character is a welcomed addition to any RPG. There are 3 kinds of alignment to choose from: good, neutral, and evil. There are 5 deities to choose from, but it's still unclear how it will affect your character. I believe it's good to assume that each deity will provide some kind of buff or blessing, but will also carry a nerf or weakness. At the moment, character customization in the character creation page seems to be a little lacking. There are only 6 options at the moment, and those are hair, hair color, head, facial hair color, and skin color. I'd like to see the option to play as male or female and maybe have other body types. It is important to point out that these choices are permanent and you won't be able to modify any of these later in the game, so expect to spend some hours in character creation. As I mentioned earlier, Alaloth's combat is unlike any other isometric RPG. Alaloth has a deep combat system that will require more skill from the player than the average ARPG. Enemies are smarter than those you usually encounter in other ARPGs, and taking these enemies on will need precision, patience, and strategy. Running through enemies won't work here. You will need to take your time and try to engage enemies one-on-one. This is where the Souls-like mechanics come in. Under your health, you will see a yellow bar that indicates your stamina, and Alaloth uses a kind of stamina system. Using special abilities or skills depletes your stamina, and true to a Souls-like game, attacking, blocking, dodging left and right, and parrying will also use your stamina. Skills in Alaloth are divided into 3 categories or trees: Way of Arms, Way of Gods, and Way of Nature. And each of these categories has 3 paths within them that will define your playstyle: the Warlord, the Marksman, and the Guardian. The Way of Arms provides physical attack skills that will directly damage the enemies or help the player resist the enemy attacks. A straightforward warrior's path. There is no magic in this skill tree. Cleric, Necromancer, and Templar. The Way of Gods provides healing skills and other abilities bound to the gods of Aloth's world pantheon. These skills represent the power of the deities as channeled through their followers. The spells of this tree do not necessarily reflect the nature of any specific deities in the game. Arcanist, Elementalist, and Warden. The Way of Nature enables players to manipulate and bend the reality of the nature that surrounds them. This tree provides long-range magic attacks that is based on the elements of nature. You can mix and match skills from various paths, but you can only have 4 active skills at any given time, meaning tough choices will need to be made about how you wish to play. Questing is handled in a similar manner to just about every RPG ever. You can take quests from NPCs, and you can also find quest boards or a fighter's guild board and take a quest or a mission that interests you there, very much like The Witcher 3. When heading out to do a quest, you'll need to open the overworld map and choose the location you want to go. Traversing the map takes time, and your movement speed is determined by the road you are traveling and mount if you have one. Sometimes when traveling on the map, you may come across champions from other houses and races, but you can also encounter bandits, which means a trip on the map might very well end in a fight. Another Souls-like mechanic is the death system of the game. When you die, you become a ghost on the map until you visit the nearest resurrection shrine. Just remember to head back to the location of your death after your resurrection to collect your equipment, or else you will lose it forever. Final thoughts. Gamera Interactive is a relatively new game company based in northern Italy and founded in 2016 by industry veterans. They have been developing games non-stop, and so far they have made 10 games in total, with Alaloth being their biggest game yet. Alaloth Champions of the Four Kingdoms wasn't even on our radar until 3 weeks ago, and we never saw the original teaser and story trailer. Releasing a commentary gameplay presentation of the game was a really smart move, as it has since brought the game to our attention. It is now firmly on our radar, and while the game doesn't have the greatest graphics, it has its own charm and brings me back to the RPGs of the early 2000s with its solid RPG mechanics and excellent vision. As we mentioned earlier, Chris Avellone is lending his expertise to the game as a creative consultant and a writer. Having played nearly every game he took part in, we're looking forward to playing Alaloth. Alaloth Champions of the Four Kingdoms releases sometime this year for PC via Steam and Xbox One. We don't have an exact release date just yet, but we'll bring you more coverage as new info releases, so be sure to follow us and keep an eye on our YouTube channel.